He got into a big back and forth with the H3 podcast over this and actually had to defend himself over this whole thing, which is very funny. The second thing I wanted to cover is Sven did a whole stream basically with Podawful. So he had a whole thing where he was going to have everybody that he chose, I guess they were voted, they did a poll or something, that they would be able to stream their show on Podawful's channel, and Sven was one of the people who did it, surprisingly. I'm surprised he actually did it, but apparently he just said yes. And after thinking about it, I have an opinion on that as well. And then the last thing I want to cover, somebody said to me that I've never criticized Howard Stern or anything. So it's kind of interesting. There is this documentary on Howard Stern that I want to cover too at the end by Patrick CC, and I got over like 1.5 million views in 2024, something about Howard Stern, and it's just funny to see Howard Stern through the lens of, I guess he's Gen Z, or I believe he's Gen Z, Patrick CC. He does good documentaries, but it was just funny to see his point of view on Howard Stern, and I have a criticism of both Howard Stern and this documentary that we'll skim through because it's very odd. But let me just say hello to everybody really quickly. I don't want this to be like, what is it, Dealer Wheel or Swap Shop. But I want to say I need to get contact lenses because this is crazy how small everything is. How far the monitor. James Stagg is my boy Mark joining us. Hey, White Groiper. Sven turned against Mikey Diaper. Well, we'll talk about it because there's actually some backlash to the whole thing, and I got it here. Kister says, "Whoosh, have you ever played an instrument?" Guitar, yes. I play guitar a little bit. I don't have one here. Actually, the last guitar I had, it was a BC Rich Ironbird, and I loved it so much. And this was like, I was a teenager the last time I played guitar. I like acoustic too, but I had this BC Rich guitar, and I saved up money for it. And this was during the time I was smoking weed, lots of it. And like most things, I ended up selling it for weed. My friends convinced me to do it. It was such a nice guitar. It was beautiful. Black BC Rich Ironbird. You know, with the flying V shape almost. I wasn't great at it, but I was pretty good. It was fun. Andy Cruz, woo! Woo to Andy Cruz on Bleach is here. Shout out. I got some cider. It is alcohol in here, so this show could go off the rails very quickly and totally go to shit. So cheers to that. Okay. Let's see who else is here. Dawn Hummer. If I read your names wrong, it's because I can't fucking see. I don't like Windows. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna complain. I want Mac back really bad. I want it back badly. The window management's so much better. Zooming in and out is way better. But this thing is much faster than my Mac. That's horrifying. Ryan Joseph, can we start W? Looks like Gavin clone. Yeah, he does. He does kind of look like Gavin. By the way, in case there's any weird fourth wall like breaking, so essentially this is what the screen looks like. And I have the solution for this, but I'm too lazy to do it now. You can see some reflections and stuff, and I have to kind of hang a curtain over here on this side of the room, and it will remove that. I just didn't feel like doing it. I didn't have the time. And it's not bad. I mean, you can see it, it's not bad. But when I do this, bam, then it's super clear. Then I was like, wait a minute, why is the TV here to begin with? It's kind of retarded to have that. But it gives us an idea of what it could potentially look like when the issue is fixed. That's my explanation for it, and I don't care. I spent the time mounting it, and now that's there. So it's just happening. So, okay? Who cares? Edmond7, what's wrong with Vaush helping neighborhood kids out? Yeah, we got to listen to this explanation that he has for having these. Imagine being a creator and then you pop up a folder here. You say, this computer I'm streaming on, you're not going to see shit on here because there is nothing on here. I would not be using my personal computer. Not that I have anything like that on there. But he was caught with basically lolly prawn. And there's this whole explanation for this thing that it's like okay to do because it's a drawing. And it's like, no, it's not okay no matter what it is. And you have to just hear his explanation for it because it gets so funny. Edimon7, the Triple Youth needs a firm hand guiding them from behind. Thumbs up, John Smith. Thank you. On Bleach says, fix the monitor resolution. What does that mean? I'm confused. Let's see. Fix the... Yeah, I mean, kids are bad. You should get a guitar and drums for your background. Yeah, and just never, ever play them. I might do that. I'll just bring a guitar in here and then smash it at the end of the show on Bleach. Okay, so let's get into this. So here's Vaush here. All these political streamers are total, like, grifters. You know the deal. They're on one side or the other. They play into all of the things that a political person on that side of the spectrum would love to hear. And Vaush is kind of a guy who started in the middle where he, I don't know if you know Destiny. So Destiny's a political streamer as well. A lot of these guys just started as like video game streamers who streamed themselves playing video games. And he was a part of Destiny's community, and there was this big, like, falling out he had. Both him and Hassan Piker used to be friends with Destiny, believe it or not. And now they both hate him. And funny enough, this is what ends up happening to him. And it's weird, when you're in this kind of liberal political sphere, somehow people always find a way to excuse this kind of stuff. Like I saw Keffels did a stream, which is another trans streamer. I saw a bunch of trans streamers covering this whole thing and defending Vaush by basically saying like, oh no, this is just part of our culture, and I want to get into a little bit about your culture and what it's doing to the kids. But let's listen. So here's his first stream after people find out. It's kind of funny because the stream ends where he goes to show guys men's fashion. He was pulling up a folder of men's fashion, like clothes to wear, as if he should be the one to be giving that advice. And when he goes to open the folder, he goes, oh, and there's just a buttload of like, yeah, really gross stuff. And he goes, oh no, and then the stream just cuts. So here's here's Vaush explaining away his folder.
But to be honest, it's just pretty sad. For those of you who don't know, Ethan Klein and his friends over in the H3 pod dedicated about 2 hours of the podcast to doing like the platonic ideal of a bad faith Vaush is a pedophile takedown, including like everything, like 5 years ago, like stuff that's been addressed so long that I mean, I didn't see it. I saw people in my Discord talk about it. I didn't want to watch it myself, partly because it would just make me upset, and partly
So him saying this part where he goes, "Oh, this is a whole lot of stuff. I don't really want to talk about it." I mean, they found a lot of anti-Semitic stuff that he said in the past. He's pro-Palestine. He's pro-Hamas. Basically, he's one of those guys. Let's take a look at what really. Let me see if I can find it. I have a clip of what Vaush is into. Let me see. Here we go. Let's pull this up here. Did that work? Yes, it did. Okay, let's see what Vaush loves. And I don't want this gay song playing. Oh, look, it's Brendan Schaub. Like it when you slurp their balls. What do you guys think a deal horse cock size would be? Dragon dildos are better than horse cocks. Better. I will. Horse cocks lately. Nah, I like horse dicks. Horse cock is gorgeous. I'm ready to get fucked in the ass by a giant horse cock. Horse dick. Horse cock. Horse. God, horses are so fucking hot. I wish I had a horse cock. The future is horse. About horse dongs. Be honest. Horse cock. Horse cock. I love horse cock. Horse cock offers the party. You get it. Horses. Cocks. Horse dildos. He wants to be the horse. He wants to surpassed only by horse cocks. We're at the beach and just met horses. I love horses. They're so pretty. I respect your horse fucking though. Will I ever magically grow a horse dick? By horses sure are big. God, horse cocks are so fucking hot. I love horse cocks. They're so pretty. No lie, I've had a horse cock. Horse cock is gorgeous. Horse dick is delicious. And horse dicks, of course. Have a good time editing this one. I really like horse dick. I had a horse cock. Horse dick. Futa is the closest. I can't even keep up. Horse dick. Protein of horse semen could have allowed our brains to grow. I'd fuck God horse. A dick like horse dick. Ian horse dick. Horse cock. Horse raping. Fondle horse. So this is what he's been up to. This is 2017. So he's been at this for a whole long time. So that's Vaush, and let's see what he has to say.
Because I was getting a haircut at the time. But like it wasn't even like anything temporal. It was literally just like, fuck this guy. My understanding is that they were even doing like the Tacoma wept jokes and pretending that the Tacoma wept thing wasn't a joke. Like the thing that people pretend to do where they see an obvious joke and act like I'm being serious as a way of implying that it's you know, like cringy or whatever. So if it's reached that level of like indiscriminate shit talking and smearing, then it's obviously not any kind of like pointed criticism. So with that in mind, like what do I even what do I do? The 89th debunk on this? It's nonsense. It's mostly just really saddening because I thought that Ethan Klein and I were on good terms, which I know
why would you think
he
that?
made fun of. I think at some point he was like, as if I would ever be friends with this pedophile, which is really disingenuous because the last time we talked on Twitter DMs, he was really friendly to me. Back when I had a channel strike, he talked with me about offering to give me access to his content manager on YouTube so that I could deal with the strike better. And just a little while ago when he was going through the rounds because he was doing like weird arguments with Hassan about Zionism or whatever, he didn't like a tweet that I had liked. So he reached out to me and asked me about it. We talked for a bit and I disagreed with him. But eventually I moved over and said, oh, okay, and I unliked the tweet.
So he thinks that Ethan did this whole thing because he sided with Hassan Piker in this whole back and forth that they had over this Palestine-Israel conflict, which is, I don't know, I can go here to Ethan actually talking about it because he plays it and he responds, because this is between the two of them, and his explanation is just so bizarre. And that whole thing with Hassan and Ethan is just bizarre to me. Like, they started this whole show called Leftovers, and Ethan thought he needed to get into the political sphere for some reason. I guess he felt there was a void in the market for liberal streamers. And him and Hassan did this show together, and it basically ended once this Israel-Palestine conflict started because Hassan is clearly a sociopath who does not actually care. He's here to grift his political agenda. He doesn't care about Ethan or any of that. And he said, oh, wow, I get on the H3 platform and stream to more people and spread my grift even further. That was his mindset going into it the whole time. And Ethan, being kind of a naive guy, he fell for it. And he let Hassan on his show, and they did it together. And I guess it went fine for the most part. But that last episode was basically Ethan trying to show sympathy for a Palestinian father in Gaza, losing his son and carrying his dead son. And he was like shedding tears, right? And some say those were genuine. I don't know, or if they were genuine or if he was pandering. I don't know. But it seemed like genuine emotion, I guess. And then Hassan tries to squeeze out a tear because he's like, oh no, you can't upstage me, Ethan. Now I have to cry. But he doesn't cry for an Israeli child or an Israeli person dying at all. He cries for a Palestinian news reporter who is like shot dead or something. And the tears are very, very fake. Very, very forced. So that whole show ended, and Ethan kept trying to just get sympathy from Hassan, and he refused. He's like, Ethan, I can't help what my audience does. We moderate all the time. And then it was discovered that he really wasn't moderating any of the anti-Ethan comments. So yeah, Hassan Piker's a piece of shit. I do not like him.
Cringy or whatever. So if it's reached that level of like indiscriminate shit talking and smearing, then it's obviously not any kind of like pointed criticism. So with that in mind, like, what do I even?
Why did you make this? Why did you come and do this?
Right.
If that was your insight on it, but okay.
Skip here.
Gotta at least know what the fuck you're talking about.
What is there to respond to when that's the level? Like, that's the degree of.
Here he is with another outrageous claim based on.
At some point, he was like, as if I would ever be friends with this pedophile. Before, they're doing the thing that racists do with racism, where they think that everyone is racist secretly. They're just the one with the balls to like admit it. So a lot of these lolicons think that everyone is, but like.
This whole lolly stuff, I don't know. What is going on? There's this weird thing where now there's this like promotion of kids being turned trans, and it's being taught in the schools, and a lot of guys, I guess, who don't have kids or people who don't have kids don't realize that they're pushing this. Mostly in America, they're pushing this. And it's to the point where they're teaching kids pronouns. And everyone goes, oh no, this is mass hysteria to even talk about this. But no, it's actually happening. Like, kids in school are learning that like gender doesn't even exist now. They're teaching this to children. It's part of like a lot of school curriculums. It's not a myth or a conspiracy theory. And yes, some take it far, like, oh, these like drag queens teaching our children. No, that is not happening in every school. But yes, part of like sexual education now is to teach kids that there is no gender in a lot of schools. And you see kids putting their pronouns in their profile now. It's very odd to me. And it's just pushing this idea of like, hey, let's get kids to transition as soon as possible before they have any fully developed brain. And then they'll even look more like the opposite sex when they transition. And so now they're doing it where people don't realize this, and they probably won't believe this. So in states where it's like outlawed for minors to transition, this woman Keffels, he's like a streamer, trans streamer, had a website that was promoting a way for kids to transition using bathtub made hormones from like, oddly enough, horse semen or something. They take some from a horse. It comes from a horse, and they're in the bathtub like stirring it up, and they're making hormones in the bathtub. I swear. And then they're taking this and they're like injecting hormones, bathtub hormones, and turning into she's. Whatever way you want to go, you just got to have a bathtub, a horse, and then you can become the opposite sex. And yeah, they're pushing this on kids, right? And she thinks it's fair because it's like, no, you don't understand. It's like, what happened? We accepted people being gay, okay? We accepted all of that stuff. But I don't know. I wouldn't say, is the argument now, oh, these people were always wanted to be a woman and that's why they were gay, and now we're giving them hormones so they can turn into a woman and finally be who they truly were supposed to be, that God intended them to be. I don't believe it. I believe it's all psychological, right? And then we accepted people being gay. We gave them an inch, and they took the whole 6 inches, Now they want us to tell people that they're a woman when they're not a woman. Or they're a man when they're not a man. And then that kind of gets into this weird territory where at one point they were trying to get us to accept pedophiles as part of this LGBTQP thing. I swear. Boy love and all that stuff. They were trying to get us to accept that as part of this whole thing. And so that's why there's this weird, his chat room here, this guy Vaush, a lot of them and these trans people are defending him because they're like, look, it's just lolly porn. It's not like an actual child. And it's not the same to be attracted to the look of a child than a real child. If that were true, that this is the defense, then all of you are guilty who think, what was her name? Belle Delphine is good looking. Belle Delphine was that woman who was selling like her bath water and her pee water or something and her farts. And she looks like a kid, I guess, or younger. But she at least looks, you could tell she's 18 at least. This guy's looking at lolly porn of horses having sex with children. Like kids. And a lot of this anime stuff feeds into this culture too. It's weird. It's very, very strange.
Is he
I don't know
talking
what
about
he's
me?
talking about.
They're the only
part where
ones with the stones to own up to it or whatever.
Explains himself.
And you know, obviously this is like genuinely repulsive, but
sure?
I don't understand that one.
All right, I'm gonna move on. Here's the Dan conspiracy. This is the good shit. So Vaush is like, how did this happen? There must be some explanation.
I do think to some
Is
level Dan is
Ethan-
orchestrating it and Ethan could be convinced in the conversation. I don't know.
Because it couldn't be
I
my
know
best
that
friend Ethan.
Yeah.
Dude, my
Right.
best friend either would never betray me unless
Had
it was
to be
Dan. That's crazy.
That's
Dan
like,
is-
yeah, when dudes will blame
Floobs.
like a girl's girlfriends for her doing or
Jesus
doing
Christ.
something or thinking some way. Like whenever she stands up for herself, oh, who's telling you
Fucking-
this? Who's making you
Imagine
think this
sending
way?
a millionaire $10
Yeah, I
to
like that I
ask
have no
them.
agency.
Wonder if he asked to
I
use
didn't
the
do
mane
anything.
and tail of the barbershop.
like
Floobs.
Your response, Dan?
On the strings.
That's right.
Giddy up.
That's
Yep.
right.
Get to it. Come
Ethan
on.
could be convinced in a conversation. I don't know. I know that Dan is like a Hassan fan and he doesn't like me, and I've known that for a while. I heard from some people in Discord that he was
that for a
pretending to
while?
not.
You've known that for a while.
Dan, you've
You
been on his
never-
radar.
We've never talked about him on
Never
this show
talked about
until
you.
Friday. This was the first time.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe I was like, oh yeah, Vaush, she's okay, or something like that.
He wants to
Right.
pretend that his hands are off it. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, so if you and they both contain the same content, so the only reason you would get that content from his stream rather than mine,
I'm trying to
covering
find the
any
part
kind
where
of
he's
drama,
defending it.
it's just an effort at like character assassination.
Here.
Wrong.
Are you
And then
the non-pornographic images?
Here,
Called
here,
two,
here,
and
here.
it was like, I don't know, JPEG or something. Oh fuck, I don't know. The last image that I saved to the to be sorted folder was an image of Marcel from
So his whole explanation is that he has a folder that's called To Be Sorted. And these are just a bunch of images that he's downloaded from the internet and he just hasn't gotten around to sorting them yet. And this is the folder that we saw, but oddly enough, the majority of the folder was all this like lolly porn with horses.
from Dungeon Meshi being roasted by
And he keeps
Gordon
talking, he keeps
Ramsay
diverting
while
to all
cooking
this
a
weird
mandrake.
stuff.
Hold on.
he's doing this thing where he's like, it's not
Okay.
about that one. Nobody fucking cares about that one.
Yeah,
Nobody.
What the
I didn't
fuck
even.
did he just say though?
He's trying to make it seem like
Yeah,
no.
I don't remember that.
I don't know what he's
I don't
Let me show
remember
you
it
the
because it
architect
doesn't
of
matter.
pain.
I'm curious what he
I
means.
am
by
the
He
that.
shows it.
architect.
He shows it.
Okay, got it.
But like,
Hold your
dude, this is
pain.
not.
That's from
He's
the
like,
Bond
I'll
movie.
explain it all. Yeah.
know what I
So
mean,
anyway,
right?
it was just a
Marcel-
cartoon Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, we don't care about that one,
Gordon-
bro.
Ramsey.
Stop trying to
There we go.
obfuscate, you bitch. Show it. See, I'm
It's
innocent.
a good anime, guys,
Yeah.
and a good manga.
I'm
Anyway, I saved
innocent.
that
What about
there.
the other ones?
What about the
And
one
it
with
opened up
dicks in it?
the folder
Yeah, like there's like 95% are porn. Let's talk about
Yeah.
those.
preview, which showed thumbnails of images that I had in there. A lot of which were pornographic, most of which. Though there were some non-pornographic images, including Reagan Ripley.
Don't
We don't
talk
care.
about that.
We don't care.
Do not care.
Don't care about those.
Those did not bother me at all, man. You know what? Don't care.
Inside job standing around
Irrelevant.
in a bikini, I think.
Oh my
I don't know.
God.
And non-pornographic canon images
Filibustering.
of Raru from
We
The Legend of
don't
Zelda Tears
care.
of the
Raru.
Kingdom,
Don't talk
which is
about that
funny
one.
because there are far more pornographic images of
Look at him
Raru than
dancing
there
around
are
this.
non-pornographic images.
Yeah, who
but
cares?
honestly,
Nobody cares about.
Yeah, but okay, let me skip through.
it just looks so
watch.
good. You know, oh, well, why even say? I don't want to argue with you guys about it, okay? Because it's a to be sorted folder, which had the taxes in it, you know, whatever. Also, which need to be sorted. I don't get what's complicated about it.
This is a
Anyway,
man
of the images that showed, 2 of them were
defending
from the same artist.
CP on his
2
computer.
Of them, those from that artist turned out to be a lolicon.
Oh,
Case closed.
GG.
a lolicon. That's what they call him, I guess, now.
So, like, listen, I'm not
Lolicon.
familiar with this, but if you are an artist that specializes in lolicon, as they call it, and and I saw this image and I was like, wow, that's pedo shit. What are the chances that Vaush looked at this image, a professional lolicon artist, he's like,
Here we
I'm the
go, I can
best
read
at
this
doing
in
this.
now.
Nobody ever mistakes this shit for anything but kids. He goes, yeah, no, I didn't know. I knew, and I don't know shit.
Vaush, I think, would pass
One of the two-
Klein
Like the
test.
fact that it's a lolicon artist kind of removes benefit of the
Actually.
doubt there, buddy.
Hence why he's
Images.
pro
Now, unfortunately,
Palestine.
talking about this is always like a double-edged sword because I can't show to defend myself, nor would I encourage you to go look it up because this is a lolicon artist, so I don't.
And you had that shit.
Really?
Okay, hold on. I'm reading the chat here. Is Lossless pro-Israel? No, I'm not pro-Israel or pro-Hamas. I'm pro... Get the fuck over it already. That's what I'm pro. Like, obviously, Israeli government, I don't like Hamas. Gaza is pretty much a parking lot now, so is there really anything to argue about there? Are we going to really argue about whether these, 2 million people that live in Gaza deserve to just take over Israel again? It's not realistic, guys, okay? It's not how the world works. We can't just imagine fake hypotheticals of like, oh, but that's their land. Okay, so what do you want to happen there? Yeah, let's just move everybody out and have all these 2 million Palestinians come and live there, or do you want them to live together? I mean, there are Arabs that live in Israel amongst the Israelis, and they coexist. So clearly there's some sort of issue there. That conflict is never going to end until, obviously, unfortunately, one side's wiped out, and it's not going to be the Israeli side because one is funded by the U.S. and the other one isn't. And funny enough, nobody wants these people. I mean, if people really cared, if the Arab world truly cared about Gaza, wouldn't they not be stopping them from going into Egypt and saying, no, it's your fucking problem? Wouldn't they be doing something to help? Or people in Jordan, hey, come over here. Come with us. Go establish your own place. It's like, this has been going on for a very long time. And it isn't, people say, oh, well, it's complicated. It's not that it's complicated. It's just that there's no resolving it right now. They're angry. Both people are angry. And they're going to fight it out to the death. And we just got to wait it out until they're all dead. Peace. Peace, Focus. Thanks for stopping by. Got to do a freestyle battle, yo. I'll smoke you, all right? Okay, let's see. Edmond7. Imagine you're in a city behind a giant horse. Now that's a horse is dropping a witness. Now that's hot. Hold on, let me move this over more because I'm missing some of that shit. Featured Worth specific. Oh, Fort Worth specifically. Here we go. I can read it better now. Fuck this shit. I really hate it. You know? Some people were like, just go back to the old thing. I'm like, no, now I put too much effort. Fuck you. Okay, Robin says, what's lolly? Lolly is a term for basically a little girl drawn. From what I know, like lolly is like a term for little girl. And these like artists that draw do lolly porn where they draw it. And it's like a way to get around basically looking at child P word. What about the Ontario trans teacher with the huge boobs? What about her? Do you want to meet her? I think that was a big troll. Ontario big knocker teacher is a hottie with a body. I haven't seen this woman. It's called True and Shine. Ah, nice. I see what you did there, Pest. True and Shine. Make it in the bathtub. I swear to God they do this. I wasn't making that up. It's very weird. Most people don't know this. Most gay people hate all of the shit, maps, minor attracted person. Yeah, like normal gay people, we accepted them, and now they want to push it even further. So I don't know. We're gonna get into a future where the whole world is just androgynous, where you won't know who's a man and who's a woman. It's just gonna be a bunch of like Ken dolls, you know, or the crotch. There's nothing there, and we're all gonna be walking around, and there'll be no men or women, and it'll just be they, thems, it's, ETs. Not yet, Ty. Nice yet. Yeah, I'm getting back down. Just stop it down. 80 months, 7. Wait a minute. I just realized I am a closet horse lover because I have Edie in my name after Mr. Ed. Oh my God, am I trans? Yes, you are. Kiv Dunnage. Hey now, Kiv Dunnage. KK, how you doing, sir? That's literally what the Israeli settlers are doing, though. I know. Israelis are being pieces of shit. And so is Hamas. It's the same thing. But you got to understand, like, those people, like the people in Gaza live in such squalor, and we get it. It's like what happens when you put people in a pressure cooker. Eventually it explodes. Like, and their water and their electricity is controlled by a country, and they don't have even a state, right? Palestine doesn't have their own thing, and that's split into 3 different things. You got different political parties there as well. One in the West Bank, one in Gaza, and then you could be talking about this all fucking day long. The problem is, like, the situation is what it is now. You can't talk about, well, this was our land first. This was our land 40 years ago. Well, 1,000,000 years ago in the Bible it says this, or in the Torah it says this, or 1,000,000 years ago in the Quran it says this. It's like, okay, well, this is the situation today. Israel exists. Get over it. You got to solve the problem with how it is today. You can't just make up shit as you go along and be like, well, because it says this in the book. Well, you know, the Intifada, you got to leave. And now we get it all. It doesn't work that way. I mean, if they want the land, they got to fight for it, and they're trying, but they're going to lose. So what's the next best option? Would you rather death? And that's the scary part, because a lot of these people, the worst enemy is one that doesn't fear dying. That's a scary enemy to have. Because what do you do with those people? They don't care. They don't care about dying. They'll use the death as propaganda to win sympathy for sure, but they don't care. I mean, they'll put their own children in harm's way just so a bomb drops on them, and then they'd be like, look what they did. Look what they did to the kids. Let's put a bunch of artillery in this hospital and shoot rockets from it, and then when they bomb the hospital, how could they bomb a hospital with a bunch of bombs and artillery in it? How dare they? Come on now. But that's the only tactic they have. That's all they have. It's like, they're playing chess. That's their strategic move, is to like, okay, these people have a moral compass, so let's use that against them by putting children in the way, right? That is the smart move when you're the less powerful enemy. What are you going to do? Put kids, strap a child to your back, use them as body armor. I can go on about this all day. We're not going to solve the Israel-Palestine conflict on this stream, okay? Let's talk about horse cocks.
Good idea.
want to direct you to that, you know? But one of the two images from this lolicon artist, okay, to be clear, one of them flatly did not look like lolicon. I'm sorry, you can say it's defensive. I think that's bullshit. I literally...
Bro, I don't believe you. They're a lolicon artist. That's it. The fact that there was even any room for error means you're fucking lying.
We went back and looked. The chick is like 6 heads tall. She literally, like, it's like, apparently the reason why people...
6 heads tall? Have you ever heard of someone referring to the age of someone by heads tall? What does that mean? What is 6 heads tall? 6 baby skulls tall.
have said that is
adult heads or child heads?
So how old are you now? I'm 6 heads tall.
So he's basically saying, oh yeah, it
Good
was
one,
lolly
Ethan.
porn, but she did look pretty old for being lolly.
Bro,
Yeah.
I saw
It's
that
fucking
shit.
insane, dude.
She was a mature baby.
You
Yeah.
downloaded lolly porn. And by the way, once again, you had 2 images from this artist in the peak tip of Mount Everest. That is your 5-year-old porn collection going back to
Right.
2019.
Right.
To be sorted.
Bro has his pedo jacket tailor fitted, dude.
That's what's up, bro. He's got his like name embroidered and shit.
Custom made.
But this is the best part. Everybody listen up. This is important.
It's a drawing of a VTuber. And the VTuber is usually drawn as a lolly. But in that case, that's
my
blaming
God.
me for a drawing that's not the drawing that was in there. So
Bro, if you fucking knew the VTuber and they're usually drawn as a lolly, what are you doing,
What are
brother?
you talking about?
Fuck you lying. Why the fuck you lying? Oh my god. Stop fucking lying. Nice return. I remember that one.
So I don't. I completely reject that line of logic. It just looked like a normal drawing.
No, definitely not.
Hope it's all okay or none of it is okay. What does that mean? What are you talking about? I don't even know what you mean when you say that.
Where's the goblin part?
Right.
I don't like it's. This is exact. So this is one of the reasons why stuff like this is impossible to clarify, because even talking about it comes across as like crazy defensive or whatever, right?
Yep.
But what else am I supposed to do?
Stop doing it. Stop downloading lolly.
Yeah, just don't.
Don't.
Let people like Ethan Klein lie and say that it was all
Motherfucker.
like a folder full of lolicon, or just explain it, you know? Anyway,
I explained it better than you have.
one of the 2 images just flatly didn't look like lolly. I don't give a shit. Like cope, diamond, I just don't care. Like disingenuous shit, you know?
He's like, I
the other
know.
one
Right here.
is like a threesome with 2 chicks and a guy. And in retrospect, looking at it, knowing now that that artist is a lolicon, yeah, I can see it. When I looked at it, I
See,
think
bro,
the-
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Oh, come on.
If it's like even that close to being underage, then you kind of like if you can miss like, oh, that might be lolly, but I'm not sure, then it's lolly. And you're a lollipop,
you saved
brother.
it. Not only did
You
you look
saved
at it, you
that
saved
shit.
it. You wanted it forever.
You didn't want those kids to age. You wanted a snapshot of them now.
Someone save me.
Yeah, that was the threesome with we're not sure if it was a horse, but we think it was. It was like a giant horse cock and 2.
Okay, I'm back on track. I lost where I was for
That's
a
not the one?
second there.
I don't know, but I don't think it was the horse one that was.
Dude, they
But-
all look like kids.
Yeah,
This is
they-
like
yeah,
so
they-
fucking...
yeah.
They did. That's
Yeah.
what I.
Yeah,
that's
no,
I need a Swedish guy who just clips and does everything for me. My Swedish guy has turned on me already. Uncle Podcast. Clipper done turned. That was fast. It's all come full circle. So, anyway, that's enough of this guy. He's clearly a pedo. And he likes horses. At one point, he admits, like, hey, I'm into horse penis, and, like, plays on the, like, you can't shame me because I'm a gay guy, right? Like, you have to shame me. You're being anti-gay because I like horse cocks and stuff. So, yeah, that's essentially what he was going for there. But, let's get into this other thing about Sven. So, Sven did a stream on the Podawful channel. There's actually like multiple people that are going to be doing it. And I won't get into it, but Sven was one of the people on there. I believe Ethan Ralph was one of the previous people who did this. So let's go to this. Podawful. It was one of the recent streams here. And people were very, very angry. Very, very angry. And we're going to get to that. Oh, here I am. Lossless. Sven should marry Jesse since he looks like Jules. Okay, let me go here. Bam. Look at that. Oh, let's see. Let's see if this works. Exit full screen. Go here. Bam. We're learning, people. Look at that. Yeah. Zooms. So I was watching this.
Nice job, mate.
And the only rule that he has, he couldn't say the N-word for the first 15 minutes, I believe was the rule, and no copywritten music. So I'm like, this thing's getting demonetized. I don't know what the rules were for, because there's no way this thing is staying up, or I'm sure it'll stay up, but I don't think you're going to earn money from this thing. I mean, his whole thing was Black History Month, drawing black versions of a bunch of different people. He had Anne Frank, whoever this woman is, whoever that woman is. He did a black version of Jesse. Let me see. Here we go. Yeah, this is Black Jesse. Sven's really good at I don't know how the fuck. Like, I'm not a person who draws, so maybe I'm easily impressed, but he draws this shit
we can
quick.
chat myself for a moment then. Yeah.
And it looks good, and I like this style of animation. Like, I like the way he draws.
Okay, guys, Ashley's gone for his little piss. Usually we have a little piss and a dupe break music. Look at this. But not today. We're gonna stick around.
Look at those cool animations and stuff. I need this. Sven, how much do you charge?
Sorry, guys. Ash is he's been really sad. His mom died. I didn't want to say this, but his mother died the other day. That's why his microphone is so shitty. It's not reading it. Properly. Fuck me. God damn it! See, that's what you get for lying about your friend's mother dying. Fuck. I spilled the tea. Fuck me. God damn it, dude. Shit. Never joke about your friend's mom dying. Oh no, it's going in my printer. Fuck.
So this is what he did.
Shit. Shiver me timbers.
Basically, Jesse shared his stream key with Sven to stream on the Podawful channel. Here you can see Podawful Lunatic Fringe. He is also trademarked. We're very important people. If you got a trademark, very, very important. I am trademarked in Canada only. So don't infringe on my trademark, okay? Or I will sue you for being homosexual. So yeah, he does this. And of course, who do you think gets angry? Let's look who gets mad. Oh no, guys, the BBG is disappointed. Here's a message from @JestCurses9963. This is first on the YouTube, and then we'll get into what happens on the BBG, because they're very angry. The BBG is disappointed. We don't see it like a betrayal or anything, but Sven's position on Jesse, it was just last week, Sven called the guy a total maggot. Okay. Fair point, okay? He called him the F slur. Cool. But let's, let me see. Let me bring up some of the other messages we have here. Let me see what else is here. Okay. Let's see if I can just drag this shit. Yep, I can. Oh, I'm a genius. Yeah, I'm a genius. Sven is hosting Podawful in 6 hours. Here is posted on the BBG. People, okay, comments. There's 52 of them. Some smiley faces. Thumbs up. Sure, it'll be all positive stuff. Let's keep going here. Let's look. Let's see. Brandon Mueller. Hi, right, Brandon Mueller, you're up. Just do a different thing. It can't be George Floyd. Can you believe it? Every goddamn year it sucks. At least find a new guy or a new race or a new anything. Meme brain. Meme brain. Chris McKay, top contributor. Whoa. So far, Sven is just drawing black people, and Butterfield's audio is so horrible it's making the stream unlistenable. Gabriel Rogers, another top contributor. Big Mike voice. Oh, we gotta reference something Mike does. A thug changes, and best friends become strangers. Facts. So hard to do. Wow. Very charismatic. Vil, Suleiman Yin. What happened here? Why people so upset? Yeah. See the only person in here. And look at... What is this guy? He looks like a fucking... He got a bean turd on his head. Or is that a turban? I don't know. But he's getting it. Why are people so upset? Like, what's the big deal, right? Ryan Kelly. Dead to me. Sven posted a response. It's too hard to read. It looks like it's in Hebrew or something. I think it's a Hebrew apology. Let's see. There's more. This keeps going. He basically says, like, what the fuck is the big deal? Like, I have that too, but Tyler Winslow, even though this is meaningless, Jesse P.S. is going to be so up to his own ass for this, and that's the part that hurts the most. Hi, Jesse. It hurts. Tyler Winslow, it hurts. It hurts that Sven went on and streamed, like multi-streamed. It wasn't like he was on his show. All he did was stream on his channel and his own channel at the same time, mind you. It hurt you. Really. Break a leg. Gabriel Rogers. I like both Mike and Sven. I thought the last Sven stream was extremely entertaining and found both of them very relatable from the stance of someone who can start to go off a little too hard, and also as someone who's been in the position of, bro, what are you doing? My fly-by Jew joke wasn't meant to be a springboard into your esoteric ramblings. This is a party and you're scaring the host. The fate of their friendship is lugubrious. Ooh, look at you, Gabriel Rogers. Lugubrious. I see why you're top contributor. But I think it's normal. My best friend from 2012, I don't even have a contact with anymore. People grow apart. Sad face. Lugubrious. Wow, what a word. What the fuck? Who are these people? Here we go. Nah, fuck that nigga. Oh, Zahir Zelchudin. I wonder why he's saying that. Zahir, what happened? Remember when you did that whole stream about me and how I don't know how to act or take signals or read people? What happened? You were in the Sven streams, I think, harassing women, I've heard, and you were told to stop multiple times and you didn't listen. And so you were booted out. And he did a whole song, goodbye, Zaire, we, fuck you, you know, all that stuff. I saw it. Yeah, you did the same thing. You were the guy who was always giving advice. See, oh, listen, lossless, this is how you have to do it. This is how you have to understand people. You're not understanding, and then goodbye! Zaire Saludin, your brain is building him up to be super base because you just watched the archives and shit. He is ironically really gay now. Trust me, you will see purely by the passage of time. I am not even telling you to do anything or try to accelerate the process. I am just stating that it is inevitable. Enjoy the glow of it while you're in the moment. It will fade. Look, this isn't the way these people talk. God damn. Chris Calls. Bitter boy! Zaire Saludin, I'm not bitter, bro. Sven's just really sweet. He kicked you out. I get the hint. Gabriel Rogers, he says to Zaire, well, I don't care if he's super based. I don't think Mike is either, and I still love him. Zaire, well, Mike isn't a liar. Sven's a liar. There's a core difference here in terms of badness of Kai. But that aside, these Sven streams are supremely dogshit terrible content, which is the main crime in my eyes and main area we differ on. Mike isn't a liar? Really? Mike isn't a liar? Okay. Okay, Zaire. Well, we'll just take your word on that one. We could be here for fucking hours. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, this goes on for fucking ever. Look at this. People are so upset by this. By the way, reminder, all Sven did was stream on Podawful's channel. Restreamed. Gabriel Rogers, how did he lie? And I've watched one of his streams. It was pretty funny. I've only ever got one notification for him. It was years ago, oddly enough. Maybe it was pre-Redbar for me. Zaire. E.g., he's completely fabricated lie about me, and when confronted, he blocked me. I don't need to rehash it for you. You know, you saw it carding. And you've only watched one stream of his? Then with all due respect, what the fuck do you know to even make any statement? Gabriel, well, that and the time he's been on Mike's show, he's always entertained. I kind of glaze over drama. Sorry, bro, if he lied about you. That is shady, though. Oh, talk about parafagging. Gabriel Rogers, it just changed my perspective. E.g., that never happened story. Easty was told in a fashion that led me believe Sven is the kind of guy who wouldn't ever straight up fabricate some shit, repeatedly run with it and portray it as true, even if he hated some guy until that happened to me. So it was a big shift and I see him completely running with the shit. I pulled directly from his ass and blocked him when confronted. Nah, just as honest as finest behavior. Okay, let's keep going. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Doesn't Sven huff nitrous balloons and stuff? LOL. Don't look up to anybody on the internet to begin with. Just enjoy the show. Wait, what? Doesn't Sven huff nitrous balloons? There's literally a clip of Mike huffing nitrous and like having a seizure. What does that even mean? Like, what kind of point are you making there? This guy huffs nitrous, man. Stay away. Zaire is all up in this. I don't know what huffing nitrous balloons has to do with someone being outright liar. I don't know what looking up to anyone has to do with liking versus not liking them because they are honest versus dishonest. I'm just saying I thought he was one of the Wendy's way cool, but he's out here the other way, which sucks. That's it. I'm not making some extravagant claim, emotional point here. What I'm saying is very straightforward. He is a liar like Denny. That's the side of the line he's on there. The type guy who sucks. Gabriel Rogers. Fair assessment. Chris Koss. See how better this shit skin is? Hey, you still DMing girls in here, you sick fuck? The trans in here are more well behaved than you. Zaya Salahudin. I don't know if you are, kid. Wait, there's more. Is this the same one? Dead to me! Going to be a fun night of fart pranks and to choose! Maybe Salvo can stop by and show his meat to Jesse again. That'll show us. Hashtag owned. Oh my god. I'm sweating over here. Nate Murphy. All because Mike wouldn't smoke a dick-shaped cigar. Nick Soderstrom. This is another beanhead? It's hard to see there, guy. Some people, a lot of these people in the avatars look like they're on their way to rob a liquor store. Some people can't enjoy an N-word without wanting to lynch a few. I'd be annoyed by Sven too. Some people can't enjoy an N-word without wanting to lynch a few? What? Nick, what are you talking about? Some people can't enjoy an N-word without wanting to lynch a few. So if you say the N-word, it means you want to lynch people. You think Sven is out there trying to look for people to lynch? Is that what you're saying here? I'd be annoyed by Sven too. This is the whole point that's been made, and I find it really cringe. Like, there was an old argument that Mike had with Sven. I remember this, and he was on the phone, and Sven's the one that's not lying. He's the one who's being himself and not pandering to the audience. That's what being not a liar is. Being a liar is a guy who says he doesn't like this and doesn't like that, or people use these words and then holds up a sticker that has the N-word on it just to like win people over. Like, that's the guy who's lying to you. Sven, regardless of what you think of his beliefs or anything, that is Sven. And Sven is Sven whether he's on stream or in real life. You can tell it's the same fucking guy. He's not catering or pandering. He's doing what he wants to do. And he's just saying it as a joke. And then who is the arbiter of jokes to be? Because Mike's like, oh, when I say it, it's funny. When you say it, you're actually being racist. Well, who's to say that? What if when he says it, people laugh at it? Humor is subjective. It's not objective, it's subjective. So that's his way of making a joke. People find that funny, then that's funny to them. So who are you to say? Let me see. There is a response. Here we go from Sven right here. Okay, this is what he wrote. He said, if fucking Hassan Piker had a fun idea to give his stream key to people and he tagged me, I'd do it. Who gives a shit? It was a fun original idea. They also got pissy when I appeared on Killstream. It's like they are so used to Redbar being this bridge-burning island that doesn't play with others at all. Weird. Unable to maintain any sort of relation, professional or friendly. This is your own friend telling you this. That they can think a small collab, even a simple guest appearance, is some kind of endorsement or whatever. That's not to say I don't endorse. You're spelling endorse wrong, Sven. Anything and everything Jesse has ever said or done. He is my best friend after all. Maybe this is Norwegian. I don't know. But he's so right. It's totally right. He is 100% correct. They're so used to Redbar being this bridge-burning island that doesn't play with others at all, unable to maintain any sort of relation. Yeah, that is my issue. And you know what the funniest part about all this is? That Mike himself probably does not even give a shit. It's the fan base that cares. And they're the ones who represent him. And then it comes across like, ew, they're like these people having these like intellectual conversations and about Sven going on Jesse's stream and basically drawing a couple of cartoons. You know, a guy who clearly is never allowed on Redbar anymore. So what? He still has to work. You know, he has to get his name out there. So, like he said, even if it was Hassan Piker, I would do the same thing. It's just so funny to me that the fan base is really 90% of the problem here. You can't go on anyone. Mike doesn't like them, then you can't like them. You can't have your own opinion. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, if I say I think Joey Diaz is funny. It's like, well, no, Mike did that whole thing where he attacked Joey and he lied about taking Xanax. I was like, really? You mean Joey Diaz, the guy who has told 9 million stories about how he has drugs in the other room, like he used to do his podcast? And he'd say to every guest, hey, I got a fucking room over there, cocksucker. I got perks, I got bikes, I got whatever you need. Zandy boss. Yeah. He was always talking about it. It was the fact that he weirdly lied, I guess, when Redbar called him out on it. And yes, there was a funny response from that, but it's just like, now because he was covered, he is a fool, and you cannot like this guy anymore. It's like, no, I still think Joey Diaz is funny. And if you were to say that in the BBG group here, or in his audience, they would just basically be like, no, you're gay. He's a liar. And Mike doesn't lie. Mike doesn't lie about all the drugs he's taking, all right? He's totally honest with you guys about all of that stuff. He's never lied. He has never lied. Oh, God. No, that's funny. It's going to be interesting. See, I don't think he'll respond to it. Someone said, would you submit that to Redbar in the wild? And it's like, no. It's kind of a cheat, because if he's seen it, and I'm sure he knows about it, it doesn't count. But also, it's weird to me that he basically said something about that where he said, like, he'll pretend that he hasn't seen certain things, which is weird. Like when he played the Mark Harley clip of Mark doing the impression of him, he pretended he had no idea what it was. And he was like, oh, he had a Freudian slip. And he's like, oh, that's, this is, I don't know what this is. Everyone's sending it to me, but I don't know what it is. Here's the interview. The impression. He had like a Freudian slip there. Because he knew exactly what it was. The guy is subscribed to the channel. Of course he would know what it was. And then it was posted in the BBG, and then you had a bunch of people like harassing him about it. Hey, react to this, react to this, react to this. And it's like, oh, he doesn't want to give attention. The only reason you should be afraid about giving someone else attention is if you feel that there is the possibility they may be competition for you. Otherwise, why are you afraid? If there's somebody who's on camera doing a show, you can respond to anybody. Who cares? I get it if they're just some no-name, nameless person that nobody knows or cares about and doesn't do a show or isn't on camera or anything, is not a public figure. But if there's somebody who's a public figure, who cares? Like, I also feel like this back and forth between Jesse and Redbar is pretty stupid, because I think somebody shared a clip of, and it was supposed to be like pro Mike, right? It was a clip of Jesse calling into like a Redbar episode, because they used to be friends. They used to hang out in person. Jesse's told a story about Mike and that appearance he did for filling in for Gavin on Compound Media, where he had the fake Dante Nero, and Jesse was there and set up the fake Dante Nero bit, and Mike was in the green room like taking a bunch of pills, and he said it was for anxiety, and he was basically telling this whole story. They hung out, and then Mike ran away from the real Dante Nero. The real Dante Nero showed up, and he was scared. Mike tried to hide from him, and then he returned the suit that he had. And like, he'll respond to Mike subversively. I mean, Mike will respond to him subversively, and Jesse will like just call him out. Here it is. I have it. Jesse PS versus Redbar. And this was posted to make Mike look good. But you know what it just told me? Mike is afraid of competition. That's what it told me.
Applause.
Standing Standing O.
You'd be on the news.
The industry would bow to me.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Glass would get naked and wiggle his little tail.
By the way, there's weird voice that he had. It's like an old... It was even weirder even earlier than this, but this is when it's kind of fading away. The old Jewish woman voice. Like he has like marbles in his mouth.
Todd.
He'd turn straight.
Shut the fuck up. Stop it. Going viral right away. Someone says, yeah. Anyway, Jesse.
Yeah.
You're gay.
Thank you.
Ooh.
You got long hair, which you cut. You shaved your mustache. You're trying to be more like me.
My hair is still long, and I haven't shaved.
Why the long hair? Do you think that's cool looking?
I've had long hair since I was a kid.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That's what I'm used
Who made this gay animation, by the way?
to, though.
Okay, but I was used to not coming, and then I turned 12, and I shot a load all over my blank blanket.
Yes.
Okay? I was used to not coming.
But
and
you,
I said,
you know,
time to adapt.
You still like punk music. You didn't grow from that.
I grew.
You still like it.
Oh, yeah, you grew? Really? You end every show doing a Wish I Was Still in High School performance?
So what? I like everything.
Okay, I like long hair.
Okay, I like long hair too. On women,
Thank you. I look beautiful.
You don't. You look like a weasel.
Yeah, I hear
People
that.
look at you.
Oathy called
Do you
me.
understand? People look at you and they go, "Look at this scumbag, this heroin-y scumbag." That's what they think.
I do hair.
Jesse's coming across cool, calm, collected here. This is a much younger Jesse. Like, I don't know what year this is from. It's clearly a while ago. You can tell he's much younger. It just sounds like a guy who recognized somebody else was coming up with the show, but he saw his competition, he just stomp him out. And these guys were friends. It's not like he just found Jesse off the street. It was like, I'm going to make fun of this guy. Like, he knew Jesse had a show. He was involved in it. And he's trying to snuff him out before he even gets going. That's what this whole thing is about. That's what this tells me. Everyone else is like, oh, look how Mike screwed over and fucked over Jesse and made fun of him. Oh, it's so funny. And to me, it just looks like a guy who's being a fucking dick.
Heroin?
Why not try? And it's not like, I don't care. Haters gonna hate, right? Isn't that your
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Imagine watching shows you don't like. Like, could that be your whole business model? That would be weird to say. Like, you could imagine that people maybe say, oh, this is like a morbid curiosity, just like you'd watch who were your original fools, like fucking Josh Denny or Melton. Why did you watch their shows? You don't like them? Why were you watching them? Oh, you must have been secret fans. You must have been secretly their fan.
If you don't love our show, then why are you doing almost an exact version of it?
I'm not. You did not invent the wheel. You didn't invent talk radio.
Regardless.
In fact, when you started off doing your show, you were trying to imitate talk radio.
Man Cow, specifically, we've seen all of this. Mike's original voice was stolen from Man Cow. I mean, everybody who is doing this type of thing was inspired by some sort of shock jock who came before all of this. Obviously, Mike is inspired by Howard Stern. I mean, the whole idea of even having the weird people that you cover, the Whack Pack, that's the Howard Stern thing, and it goes even beyond that. There will people tell you it's before that. But like the idea of a talk radio show, and you know he was inspired because he called it Redbar Radio. Not Redbar Podcast, not Redbar Internet Radio. He called it Redbar Radio, so he considered it actual radio when he wasn't even on the radio. He was on the internet. So he was inspired, and his whole thing, this shit here, this whole thing, having a TV, Howard had fucking million of them all over the place. Howard had TVs, so what are you stealing from Howard? And then the whole argument isn't really about stealing, it's just having something over this guy. And it's like, if you see somebody who's doing a show, and even if it was inspired in any way, who cares? What does that make any difference? You should be lifting up the people around you. Why is it always this idea to push people down? And you know what? There is a video of Mike that I want to show after this that's very funny in context. So let's finish listening to that.
Talk radio as a
and
genre.
saying regardless doesn't change that.
It does change that, Jesse.
You're just saying regardless, and then you follow up
Your
with nothing.
show is my show, but
It's not.
shitty.
I started doing my show
There's no
before
difference.
I knew about Red Bar.
You did.
What's that?
You started doing your show before you heard about us.
One of my listeners introduced me to your show,
You
saying
don't
you probably
have
like this.
listeners. When we tune into your live show, there's 7 people there before our fans invade.
That's live. Live is.
Argue with it.
Tell me where you're telling me you're not aware of Adam Carolla.
I came up with "sir" from going to an airport, which is probably where he came up with it.
too.
Liar!
So do you think I listened to him and said, I'm going to use that?
And
or do you
what
think,
do you think that
do you think I'm...
You came up with sir from... You know how common the whole bit of sir. He came up with it at the airport. You were at the airport and going, sir, excuse me, sir. Well, that would be a good bit for the show.
Still at the point because do you think you're saying I'm still at the point where I'm subconsciously lifting from other people?
Everyone
like I have it.
naturally
No.
does that.
Everyone naturally does that at first, and then they pick
Why
up their
wouldn't
own
you just
voice.
admit it?
I've done
Let's
over
say you were doing that in
5,000
2007.
shows.
Maybe now you've got
No. I go out of my way to try to come up with things straight from my own brain.
You failed.
Liar.
Jesse, this is why you need to get beat up. Because you're just saying shit
I'm not just
to
saying
defend
it.
yourself.
You started doing that thing a couple weeks back where you wanted everyone.
Really, he went to that thing, the like, I'm out of points, so I'm just...
Because I accuse you of something doesn't mean you could just throw back the same thing at me. You can't do that. That's not how it works.
But it doesn't make it untrue.
It does make it untrue.
No, it doesn't. That's not how that works.
Jesse, just because you copy things in Lyft doesn't mean everybody else does.
I don't. Again, I started my show before I knew Red Bar was a thing. You're
Jesse,
not that big.
we don't have one listener that doesn't not believe that.
I doesn't. Yes, you do.
This is so embarrassing to listen to now, especially now knowing, I mean... I wouldn't even get into this because I could bring up a fucking diagram showing you everything that Mike David has lifted. Not only has he stolen content-wise, but he's stolen in real life. He's stolen his whole thing started with the Redbar Comedy Club, and then he tells this whole story that it was taken from him. But the reality is there's a whole podcast of all the comedians that used to come in, because he started out with a show that had a studio with people in the studio. I believe Aziz Ansari, I'm Sorry, and TJ Miller, and then James Fritz was one of the guys. I have no clue who he is. I only know because I listened to the podcast. And another comedians that were in studio with him, and he had a Howard Stern type show, or Opie and Anthony type show, where he'd have him as the host and then people around him in the studio with him. I believe one of the guys drank his own piss. I have a video of a guy drinking his own piss. I showed it on another show. I didn't even know Redbar existed. So yes, it is possible to come up with the same ideas, first off. And secondly, obviously that whole format you started with, where'd you get that from? Where'd you come up with that idea? And he even admits, there's an old interview with Mike where he says, we listened to guys on the radio, and then me and my friends said, hey, this would be pretty cool. Let's do a mock radio show. Right there. So now what, everything you've done is now discredited because you've copied an idea? I mean, at this point, now today, everything everybody is doing is somewhat copied from somebody else. Like, I could look at any show and be like, oh yeah, I can see where they're inspired from. They're inspired from this, and that. But it's just so stupid to me, this argument over copying. He should have seen Jesse as somebody to lift up and elevate the people around you, right? Why try to destroy other shows because you think they're similar to you, but they're not? If you watch the two of their shows, they're nothing alike, but people keep making this comparison. Even the style of like humor is completely different. Nothing alike. They're nothing alike. If you're gonna go down to the fact of like, there's a TV set mounted on the wall. I mean, basically everyone, all of you at home right now are copying Redbar because you have a TV. I could imagine Redbar fans just walking around in public, like seeing a TV mounted. Oh, that's Mike David's idea. Look, they put the TV on the wall. Look, it's not on a stand. They mounted it.
You have one listener because they're the one.
And then all the Redbar fans do this thing where they like show off their living rooms, and they all have like Redbar-esque living rooms. And I swear, there's guys who will go and buy the same outfit Mike wore on a show and put it on and sit in their living room and have their own little tray with the whiskeys and the Jim Beam or whatever the fuck. And they'll take picture with a cigar. And they'll look exactly identical. They'll dress up as Mike David, take the picture, and show off their living room, their Redbar living room.
Told me about Redbar.
And what's his name?
He's going to get attacked for it. I'm not going to give him.
He should be attacked. You know, you think you have an answer for everything. You haven't been doing this long enough. You haven't established a fan
His name
base.
is Mike Weatherford. I believe he's in the Bring Back group. He introduced it to me through Chat Roulette.
Okay.
Story.
Good for him.
I already started my show.
Chat Roulette. So you know this is a long time ago. Chat
you
Roulette.
You haven't had your own voice. You're not unique.
Like, I actually do comedy. You do this, and I have done comedy.
Comedy. You don't do comedy. I just made a chicken breast the other day. I ain't a chef. Settle down. I've changed the oil on my bike. I'm not a mechanic. Stop it.
So I guess that's your point.
No, that's not the point. You've been paid for it. Stop it.
Then what is the difference?
Not a comedian.
I do.
Shut up. Yeah. This just sounds like a guy who tried to be a comedian and then failed. That's really, you could just break down his whole career that way. He tried to be a comedian, failed, and then he was stealing money from the people in the comedy club that he was working for. He had a business partner, Kyle, I believe his name. There's like a lawsuit over this whole thing, and the Redbar Radio Comedy Club, or radio, was named after this Redbar Comedy Club. And he was stealing money from the comics. Like, Mike would tell the comics, hey, I'm gonna do your merch drop, or I'm gonna do your CD release, right? And then he would take in and rake in all the money from the fans of the comedians, not him. And he'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna get I got the merch guy, and I got the guy who's gonna make the CDs, and then they're gonna send it to your fans, and then boom, poof, money's gone. Hey, the fans never got the CDs. What happened, Mike? I don't know. It's all gone. Yeah. Credit fraud. He was stealing the credit cards and shit of the guy that he was in business with, and they had to lock him out of the computer just to get him out. And now he tells this story that his comedy club was stolen from him. No, man, you were committing crimes. You were committing credit fraud and allegedly a lot of other crimes, and stealing money from the fans of the comedians that you were having in the comedy club. And so that whole thing failed. He took the Redbar name with him and then started a show. Originally, I guess it was kind of like stealing the idea of Ice House Chronicles a bit. Because it was like comedy club and then show based off the comedy club, Ice House Comedy Club. Same thing, podcast. And then he loses friends. Just over the years, he just gets less and less and less friends, less friends. And they just keep disappearing. And now he hates comedians. And psychologically, you could say that's probably why, because that's how his career started, where he was supposed to be. And he has footage. If you guys say, no, he never tried to be a comedian, there is footage of him trying to do stand-up and bombing. And so he realized, hey, the format for me is to do a podcast, which is the case for a lot of these comedians. Like, they're better in a podcast format because it's conversational. I think this whole idea of stand-up comedy in general is just kind of dying, because the idea of someone writing something and then performing it to you, and it's rehearsed and it's repeated over and over and over again, that idea is dying slowly. There's a few people who can still even pull that off. And so even when I say something like, oh, I think Joey Diaz is funny, I wouldn't even say I'm talking about his stand-up. I've seen maybe a few of his stand-up sets. But like, as a person, when he's on a podcast, I think he's funny, a funny guy. Who cares if he fucking lies? Who cares if he exaggerates stories? Artie Lang, he's another guy who I thought was hilarious. I thought his stand-up sucked, but him on the Stern Show was fucking funny because he used to tell stories and he would exaggerate the fuck out of them. A lot of the times he was lying because he was a heroin addict. But like, his whole journey on the Stern Show was hilarious, and he made for good content because he was funny in a conversational way. He would throw things in there. So yeah, now there's this separation between stand-up comedian and then the guy on the stage. Mike doesn't have the other half, so he's just the guy always performing on the podcast. But he's just so angry about it, and he's not truthful. He lies too. He lies to you. Great into a pile of ash
that are cheering me on at a live show.
It's funny because he basically, the rest of this is him just threatening physical violence on Jesse, and then at the end he's like, wait a minute, Jesse actually goes, okay, I'll be at your next show or whatever. And then Mike's like, oh shit, no, my friend will beat you up and he'll hold you and then I'll punch you.
Wait till you
But I want to show this clip. Let me show this clip. It's gonna bring back some memories from Mikey there. Let's see. Let's pull this up.
I want to go to Congress and really...
Let's pull this up. Okay. By the way, how's everybody doing? Did I finish this? Let's see. A little bit in there. Just one. Just one is all I need. Let's look. Window capture there, guy. VLC media player. Okay, Chrome. I got this one in the VLC. Hope it actually works. I don't know if it's gonna work. Let me play it just from the TV. I don't even care. Okay, here it is. Let's listen to what Mike has to say. Ghost from past future.
Explain this philosophy. Let everyone say every bad thing they can to you. Let every shitty thing happen that can happen, and then just realize that you can come out of it alive. And after you come out of it alive, it doesn't affect you anymore. Unless you're some wimp who's allowing PTSD to take control of your life like Mersh. I've been through some terrible times where I thought the world was going to end. I've had some relationships that ended that I thought, how am I ever going to recover? I've had dogs die where the feeling is so bad you think it's never going to end. It all ends. You're fine. Shut up. Live the life of this bug that you are and chill. You could take it. You're strong. No one will preach that to people, that they could take it.
Oh, really?
They all try to stop the guy that's hurting you. Why not build up the guy that's being hurt so that they don't hurt anymore? Why isn't this pushed by anyone? It's not even suggested.
Yeah.
It's not even looked at as there's like a million different diets. There's a million different meditations. They're saying to work out, how to relieve stress. Why isn't this method to just stop caring about what people say about you? Why can't this be a method?
I don't know. Why can't it?
But when I say this, just try
Good idea.
Because it worked for me. And the freedom I have, really, I'm fucking flying. They all try to stop the guy that's hurting you. Why not build up the guy that's being hurt so that they don't hurt anymore? Why isn't this pushed by anyone?
I don't know, Mike. Why? Why is this not pushed by anyone? Yeah. Things to live by. Mike David. Congrats, Mike David. What time is here? 11:53. I gotta be out of here for a very, very short. We're going on a trip. But I thought that was just funny in context. It's like, you could take your own advice there, Mike. I mean, you could have been a nice guy. Build up the guy who's hurting you. He doesn't hurt you anymore. I think maybe this whole arc maybe it will lead to a reconciliation. But I think maybe something else happened. Because let's really analyze this whole thing. Sven really didn't even do anything wrong on Mike's show. The problem is Mike can't handle when his show is out of his control, even for 1 second. Like, just handing them the penis cigar, he was like, oh, fuck, I don't know what to do. And he's so uncomfortable by somebody else. Like, that's what's so weird about it. It's like, imagine someone else in the studio now. It's just a weird feeling to even see him near anybody else. And then even the only other person that's in there is off camera. But he used to have Sven in pretty often, whether it was over Skype or whatever, Zoom, whatever they were using at the time. And then in studio, and all Sven did was drink. He was drunk, of course, but then they had to cut to black and tell him, no, you can't say the N-word and don't sing June. And then here Mike is holding up stickers with the N-word on it, and it's just like he thinks that because Sven did that, now I have to ghost him, because it's like, okay, that was the show, but this guy got double vaxxed. So Sven was supposed to be on the show a year before, and then this whole break happened, I guess. And by the way, the Sven call was mentioned while he was on Podawful's channel, and he said he doesn't even care about it anymore. So that tells you something, because privacy strikes were flying, by the way. Take this shit off. Privacy strikes were flying when that tape first went up. So clearly somebody was bothered by it, and I don't think it was Sven. It was this guy here. This guy right here. Very upset. And then the statements came out with the fake Indian guys, and this was all Mike's idea. Let's just bury this whole thing and clean it up nice and tidy with some fake Fiverr Indians to read statements. And Sven had nothing to do with that. He was probably like, this is really gay. But okay, I'll go with it because I'm afraid. Because everyone was afraid to go against Mike at this point. Because it was like, holy shit, if you go against him, the whole world is coming at you. It's going to fall on your head. Don't go after Mike David. And so I think at that point, Sven was like, shit, I need to salvage my career, because if I have Redbar fans hating me, that's a good chunk of probably his audience. And the guy's got to make a living. So I think he came to a deal with Mike that said, hey, you know what we'll do? Mike's like, I'll put out these statements. You just go on your next stream and say, I don't wear diapers. And we'll just call it even, right? We won't mention any of this ever again. And Sven's like, okay, I guess. And then I think they probably had this agreement for Sven every now and then to post something in the BBG to pretend that they're still friends and make this seem like everything's okay. But we know the truth. Subtitle text scale, we know the truth. Mike, you guys aren't friends. You have no friends left. They're all gone. Why? Why, Mike? Why must you do this? Why must you ruin every relationship, professional and personal? From Sven's mouth. He said it himself. And it's like, everyone was thinking it, but then to hear that phone call, that's a call that's like a private call, and that's his private thoughts. And he's drunk, so you know it's the truth. This is truth serum of what he truly felt. And it's like, why are people afraid of this guy? There's nothing scary about Mike at all. Nothing. You're not scary, Mike. No one's scared of you anymore. No one's scared. And then he changed his whole tune. Like, he was like the evil villain. That's what made me kind of interested into him. But I was like, okay, this guy's pretty fucking nuts. I mean, he's fighting with Joey Diaz and Sam Tripoli, and Sam's talking about he's going to come and murder him and stuff over the things he's doing. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty punk rock, man. And then I guess when the guy actually showed up to his door, he's like, holy shit, this is real. And then the whole tune changed. Now it's like, I want to be a guy who talks about Taylor Swift concerts and camping trips, and I have to talk about the most famous people, which is weird because his whole philosophy is that he doesn't care about growing his audience. But if that's the truth, then why don't you cover smaller creators? Why wouldn't you cover the people that pretty much everybody, like when I was in the Redbar Discord, they would always talk about smaller guys, like even like this motherfucker. Or Mersh or any of these guys, like the smaller creators. If Jesse says something, he won't even respond to it. He just pretends it didn't happen. Donkey Lips here, he's wondering the same thing. Why does he cover me anymore? Why does he cover me anymore, Mike? We used to be friends. He's scared. So now it's a nice show where you can just have fun. Just fine, that's the direction he wants to go in. And that's basically what the direction Howard Stern went into, because some people are like, you criticize like everyone except for Howard Stern. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, Howard Stern is somebody that I was probably like one of the biggest fans of, and then I was the most critical of. Like, I ran a website dedicated to Stern fans and like sharing the content and stuff. And I was a huge fan. I listened to it every day in the morning, and then Bubba the Love Sponge in the afternoon I would listen to. And it was, it got you through the workday. That was fun to have the Sirius radio. Oh, look, there's my alarm telling me it's time to go. But let me blast through this really quick. So Patrick CC did a documentary on Howard Stern. And it's pretty long, but you guys go check it out on your own time. Let me see. But it's just so weird to see like a Gen Z kid covering Howard Stern. Let's see. The downfall, the dark and disturbing downfall of Howard Stern. And he gets things wrong in this whole thing too. Like, he has a part at the end where he talks about when Howard went to Sirius Radio, and then he's like, and then he could say whatever he wanted. And then, of course, the first thing he does is this segment called It's Just Wrong, which is when they had, like, you know, family members undressing each other, which is really gross. But that's from, like, the E channel. That's very, very old content. So this guy, Patrick CC, he's got like 1.72 million subscribers, and this video got 1.5 million views 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, he made this video. So this is not old shit. Let me see. Yeah. Boink. Okay. By the way, the chat room, I've ignored you pretty much the whole time. I see one here. Gory. Sorry, I can't read it. I need to like get contacts. Gorim Vaush. Holy shit, Howard looks like a giant Jew. We have Sven to thank for the Redbar diaper saga. Yes. Well, he said he doesn't care anymore, so that phone call that's on my channel, now he doesn't care anymore. So anybody can share that or whatever. Mike Smith. Yeah, Mike Smith, you. Hey, Smith. When they see you, hey, Smith. Jesse. He sounds like, it's funny because Sven always said he's the Joker, but he sound like Mike sounded more like the Joker. When I see you, I'm gonna smash you. So here, let's play a little bit of the intro to this. The dark and disturbing downfall of Howard Stern. And it's so odd because this ties into a lot of the themes here tonight, where I feel like the lack of shock jocks is actually making the world worse. And listen, I don't like Howard Stern now, and it's because of who he's become, and it's basically woke Howard. And Howard admits to it. He said, if being woke is supporting gay and trans rights and not being a bigot, then I'm as woke as they come, motherfucker. And owns it. But it's like, I'm going to explain to you why it's a bad thing. Like Howard, I have friends of mine who still listen to him daily and say he's still good. He's trying to rewrite his legacy as like the best interviewer of all time. He tells people not even to read his first two books, Miss America and Private Parts. The Private Parts movie, he tells you to forget that it existed. It's a stupid request to make. But he wants to pretend his whole history of like having the whack pack and calling people retards and doing all this crazy wild shit that he wants to pretend it never happened. And I don't like it. And there's a reason why.
Howard Stern dominated radio for over 40 years, earning nearly $1 billion while developing a reputation as the biggest shock jock of all time. But the term shock jock is simply not strong enough to describe the absolutely atrocious, wicked, and downright degenerate behavior he has exhibited on his show. From blatant racism to suggestive language about minors, to public humiliation, and even toying with deceased human remains. There is nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, that Howard won't joke about. If you think there is a moral line that can't be crossed, Howard has skipped 100 yards past it. But recently we have learned that Howard is not proud of his legacy. He is disgusted by it. The changed man has reflected on his problematic past in therapy, and today sees himself as a progressive beacon of moral righteousness. Howard doesn't want you to look into his past because you might find out that his words and actions were always used to protect his giant mountain of gold. So today we are going to dive deep into the twisted world of Howard Stern, the most controversial man in entertainment history.
Holy shit, are we old, people? We are officially old. All of you watching this. Howard's old as fuck, but oh my god, to think that this was me growing up listening to this show, and now it's a documentary for some Gen Z YouTube creator, Patrick CC, in 2024.
Schmaltz Bagel Hour was the name of Howard Stern's weekly comedy show on Boston University's radio station WTBU.
This is a radio guy.
However, the show was canceled during its very first broadcast due to a racial sketch titled Godzilla Goes to Harlem. It's clear from the very beginning that Howard had an affinity for controversial humor and was eager to share it on air. Radio was his dream job, and the Mount Everest peak of radio was in New York City, so a job there became his ultimate goal. After college, Stern bounced around radio stations all over the East Coast, but eventually landed a stable job in 1981 in Washington, D.C., hosting morning radio at WWDC. Stern knew this job was a big enough resume booster to eventually land him in New York. He knew he needed to be rambunctious to dominate his competition, but he couldn't do it alone. Building a team was very important. He connected with his co-host Robin Quivers. Stern's team loved Robin's laugh and thought she would be a perfect fit for Howard to riff with. She could serve as an effective counterweight to Howard's often racially charged antics. Management liked the idea of pairing the controversial Jewish guy from New York with the black woman from nearby Baltimore. With his dream team assembled, Stern was feeling cocky, and he let his listeners know immediately that he was not your typical radio host. In his very first broadcast at WWDC, he called the office of Mayor Marion Barry and yelled at the assistant who answered the phone to explain what kind of man calls himself Marion. That's a girl's name, Howard insisted. On the second day, he rang a local high school and proposed that students be given the day off to celebrate his arrival. His on-air stunts forced the station to install a 7-second delay to contain his spontaneous and irreverent outbursts. You know, just in case they needed to silence his audio. And it took him less than 1 year to get into some controversy. In 1982, an Air Florida jet crashed into the Potomac River, killing 78 people. The very next morning, Howard Stern called the airline and inquired about the price of a one-way ticket from National Airport to the 14th Street Bridge. His unpredictable behavior quickly made Stern one of the top-rated personalities in Washington radio.
Man, when I get to your age, I hope they shoot me. Why am I different from other DJs? Yeah. Because I fart on the air. What? I fart on the radio.
Howard joked on everything and everyone.
It's funny, this woman comes up to him.
I'm a young person.
You are a young person? You know who I am?
No.
You ever listen to my show, Howard Stern Show?
Yes.
You do? You like it?
Not particularly.
No, what don't you like about it?
You're rather crude.
I'm rather crude?
Yes.
Well, how do you mean? Give me an example.
You're rather disgusting, and I don't care to give you an example.
Even though Howard was a liability at times, WWDC was impressed with the jump in ratings and offered him an extension in his contract. But Stern's dream was to work in the New York City radio scene. WNBC in New York offered him a 5-year, $1 million deal.
So basically, if you had the ratings, you could do whatever you want. And I mean, this guy had to start. And have you ever read the book Outliers? Howard Stern's story applies there, because a lot of people don't realize it's like, well, how did Howard just suddenly get into radio and he was just successful? What is the secret to Howard Stern, right? So in the book Outliers, it kind of outlines the reason why some become super successful versus just, you know, someone of modest success. Howard Stern's father was a radio engineer. So growing up, Howard had access to a radio studio his whole youth. So he was able to go in there and play with the equipment and sit in the studio and watch his father work, basically producing. He did some radio and music, I believe, in the studio. So his father had access to the studio, and Howard had access to it also. Because of that, if for not that, he probably would have never, ever been a radio guy. But because of that one thing, combined with all the other elements of what makes an outlier, that's why Howard Stern became famous. And he's holding Sirius XM up on his back. Like, the only people listening to Sirius for the most part are those who buy new cars and you get the free Sirius trials. They're giving away trials all the time. I can't imagine there's that many people listening, but they're still paying him $500 million. But that's because of a career of decades and decades of actually going into a radio market and getting ratings and being number one in every single market, syndicated across the entire country, right? That's what a radio guy is. You can't call it radio if that's not what you're doing. A podcast is not radio. But I mean, Howard's got a bunch of sketches here, and this guy basically goes through how controversial he was, and it's kind of funny seeing it now.
Pay-per-view event, Stern and Sherman Hemsley did a parody skit acting as Ted Danson and Whoopi Goldberg. Stern painted his face black with white around his mouth to mimic the hateful representation of black people in show business in the early 1900s. But it wasn't just the paint. He dropped just about every single racial
Wait, there's a black guy in the sketch with him. Weird.
slur used against black people, as well as speaking in a stereotypical accent used to demonize African Americans.
Well, don't let the door hit you on your big black ass, mama, on the way out of here. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. Now, Whoopi, You is a filthy
But this wasn't even the first time he had done blackface. A decade earlier, on the Petey Green show, he showed up with a painted face
Petey
and a
Green.
headpiece that was supposed to make fun of an afro.
Black people want slavery as much as white people want. The slaves we want is the Indo-Chinese.
And if you can believe it, he did it one more time on his short-lived Channel 9 TV show in 1991.
Now, I'm just trying to improve my image. The black people are against me because they say that I'm not a real black man.
How he got away with this was very simple. As long as the corporations that were broadcasting him were making money, they didn't really care about morality. But make no mistake, there was definitely outrage against Stern at the time. Many people calling for him to be canceled, banned.
The religious right, the FCC, the Conservative Party, which is kind of weird now in retrospect to think about that. Isn't that weird? Like, by the way, getting into costume and I'm a monkey man. Ooh, where'd you get that from? Right? But also the fact that this was considered like a liberal perspective before. Freedom of speech and to be able to say what you want and make jokes and all of that was like a liberal perspective. And it wasn't liberals that were trying to cancel Howard Stern. It was the conservatives, the old conservative farce. That used to be the uncool party to be a conservative. It used to be, you can't say curse words, and the FCC would fine the radio stations, and he was making so much money for the radio stations that they would just pay the fines. Eventually, they would have the delay button and the dump button and all that stuff, but they didn't really care. They would just pay whatever the fine was just to keep Howard on the air. And the FCC was pressured by the religious right because they were like, this is not very godlike behavior. So everything was backwards.
From radio and television. The federal government was fining him constantly. Nearly every year, the
There we go. Look, $6,000. Infinity Media, $105,000. Greater Media, $600,000, $500,000, $73,000, $400,000, $495,000 to Clear Channel. Between 1990 and 2004, this is millions of dollars that they paid just to keep Howard on the air because he was number one. And he was able to do whatever he wants.
FCC fined him tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars for some obscene thing he said or did. But he just paid the fines, told them to go F themselves, and kept up his bad behavior. His fans loved that nothing could stop him. He released his 1993 autobiography, Private Parts, which caused riots of thousands of fans during book signing events. He held an anti-censorship rally to protest the FCC's constant attacks on his show, to which 5,000 people showed up outside the United Nations. He couldn't stop dominating. He was featured on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. Billboard added a category to their annual awards basically just for him. And Howard's popularity. Over the years, he was establishing a legacy group of reoccurring guests called the Whack Pack. These
were those fools? Or these goons? I don't know.
These individuals had a signature trait, skill, disability, or unique personal appearance that made them essentially characters in the Howard Stern community. Some of the most popular were Beetlejuice.
Hey, like my breakfast? My breakfast is back.
What do you got there, man?
Hey, my breakfast, bro.
What is it?
My dinner.
This is unbeatable. You cannot top this content.
Champion dinner.
Still lives up to today.
Yes, my breakfast, brother.
Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf.
So anyway, so you're pretty loaded. What have you been drinking all night?
I've been drinking a lot of booze.
Yeah? What are you drinking?
I drink everything.
Eric the Actor. Gary the Bigfoot, Daniel Carver,
Censored
who was the
out.
former Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, Sour Shoes, Nicole Bass, High Pitch
Shoes.
Eric.
Good, how are you?
Eric,
And it's not a goof, that's his voice.
It's my real voice.
Yeah, and you've never gotten laid.
Never gotten laid before in my whole life.
Right.
Crackhead Bob, among dozens of other Whack
Crackhead
Pack
Bob.
members. Fans believe Howard's content with the pack was his best work. They loved these people. Sure, they were laughing at them, but they were also laughing with them.
So this is one of the points I wanted to make. Like, what would the existence be, Wendy's out there, what would their existence be if not for this show? Would it be preferable if they lived just a life of being alienated, or would you rather them, of course they're doing sketches here and they're part of it and they're part of bits and stuff, but I guarantee if you ask any of them, High Pitch Eric, Beetlejuice, any of the Whackpackers, if they regret being a part of the Stern Show, Wendy, you can ask her. No, they love Howard because he gave them a platform to flourish and become characters and have people love them and pay attention to them. And I think that was a better thing. Now this whole idea where you go, oh, you gotta be very protective, baby them and baby them and baby them. No, they want to be a part of society too, and they want to have fun too.
And they all seemed to be having a good time. Howard was now a 20-year veteran in the industry, and it seemed like nothing could stop his momentum. Stern signed a deal with CBS to host the Howard Stern radio show on television. When he first launched, 79 stations carried the show, and they were rating 81% better when his show was on their station. But eventually the graphic content caused over 60% of the TV stations to stop airing the program over the next 3 years.
Most controversial
controversy of all time. The Columbine High School shooting occurred on April 20th, 1999 in Columbine, Colorado. 2 students, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, carried out a mass shooting at their high school, killing 12 students and a teacher, and injuring many others. The 2 then removed themselves from the planet. The Columbine High School shooting nearly 30 years later still remains one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history, and in true Howard Stern fashion, the day after the shooting, he was talking about it on his show and had some very interesting things to say.
There was like really good looking girls running out of there with their hands over their heads.
Yeah, I think the bomb teams are still working.
Did those kids try to have sex with any of the good looking girls? They didn't even do that. At least if you're going to go yourself and kill all the kids, like, why wouldn't you have some sex?
Yeah, I would think that I would want some sex.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to people, I'd take them out with some sex.
It's unclear if Howard's comments about the tragedy, or any other tragedy, are intentionally to cause controversy, or if it's his way of coping with the horrifying reality. The Denver Rocky Mountain News released a statement reacting to his comments. Either we are serious about showing respect for the dead and their families, or we aren't. Either we care about the quality of our culture, or we don't. Let Howard Stern make his millions in other broadcast markets. He does not
So this is the problem I have with this documentary. So it goes through all of this stuff, right? It's very well put together. There's a lot of information here, and then it gets to the biggest part of what changed Howard's career, Artie Lang leaving the Stern Show, and he just skims through it super fast.
Luckily for the fandom, Howard added a new consistent member to the show, Artie Lang, who was a stand-up comedian and huge fan of the show. Artie was a breath of fresh air for fans, as he represented the common man and average Joe persona that Howard lost. Artie was a self-admitted drug, alcohol, and food addict who also suffered from depression. His ability to make jokes and laugh away the pain made him connect with the millions of average men listening at home. Artie and Howard became good friends and exhibited great chemistry on set. They had another brief run of shocking content that the fandom loved, such as the Butterface pageant, which was a beauty contest where women would put a brown paper bag over their face and only showcase their bodies. A panel of judges would rate them 1 out of 10 and then rate them again on their face once they removed the bag. The worse the face, the higher the score. So in theory, the ugliest woman would win. It's mind-blowing some of the women that they called ugly, especially when you consider how the judges looked or how some people in the crowd looked. This just seemed like straight up bullying. Also in the early 2000s, celebrities became more of a prominent part of Howard's program. He interviewed a wide variety of different stars. The Rock, 50 Cent, Tobey Maguire, Gene Simmons, Vince McMahon, Matthew McConaughey. And as the years went on, he became a go-to platform for celebrities.
That was his whole coverage of Artie Lang. Basically like, oh, yeah, Artie came on the show, he helped the show, and then yeah, he had some troubles, and then Howard Stern's like, okay, we gotta switch up the show, but he doesn't really go through the whole story of how Artie Lang played a huge role of boosting Howard's career and to like another level. If Artie never joined the show after Jackie Martling and Billy West left the show, it would have been a totally different show. Like Artie carried that show on his back through the terrestrial radio Clear Channel onto Sirius XM in 2006 when they joined Sirius. And this is where he makes a huge mistake in this documentary. He talks about, oh, then Howard joined Sirius, and then he does this.
Disgust Howard has aired on his show, but this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Howard Stern was officially canceled. Well, not really. Double check and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Later in the year, Howard announced the signing of a 5-year, $500 million deal with Sirius Satellite Radio. Satellite radio is not mandated by the FCC, so his battles with the government are officially over. Granted, the viewership would decrease significantly since viewers have to pay a fee to access satellite radio, but Howard had secured a die-hard fan
Monthly
base during
fees.
his career, and millions of those fans bought subscriptions to the radio just for
This
him.
was crazy. I remember this. The rally in New York City was insane. I remember
It was a rebirth for Howard. He now
this insane. New York City, like they were giving out free satellite radios to get people to tune into it. And I remember this was the point where Opie and Anthony were on XM radio and Howard was on Sirius, and he could have joined because they were two separate companies at first, and then there was a merger that happened. Howard forced that merger, which was pretty smart. Pretty smart idea. I wonder how he came up with that. But yeah, he had a choice to join XM and help them because they were the winning company, because Opie and Anthony were on there. They were doing half their show on radio, and then they would film and broadcast the walk from their radio station to the Sirius building. So they'd be streaming on FM radio, then they'd walk outside, continue streaming, and you'd get to see them walk to the other Sirius satellite radio station. That was a pretty cool idea. But I remember during this rally, the Opie and Anthony fans and Howard Stern fans hated each other so bad with a passion. And there was like Opie fans throwing shit at Howard's bus. Like he had a big tour bus type of thing that to get out of this whole rally. And they were like throwing shit at his truck. And there was like all these like crazy controversies with them fighting back and forth. Like this era of broadcasting will never happen again. Ever. Look at this. Do you think anybody's waiting outside for a radio guy like this anymore? Or even a podcaster? Not even close.
has a wide open door to say and do whatever he wants with no repercussions, and as we know, Howard will take that to a level nobody could ever imagine. Allow me to introduce the It's Just Wrong show.
It's Just Wrong?
Easily the most abhorrent.
This is super old, and you can see this is his old studio. So Patrick, you made a big mistake. You're saying that he joined Sirius and then did the most heinous thing ever. This is very, very old. This is like 1990 something, I believe, or 2001 or 2. And he's claiming this happened on Sirius Radio. Howard actually did the opposite. He said when he came to Sirius, now I have the freedom to say anything I ever wanted. And now it's corny to just be like, oh, let's just curse all the time. So he actually had a rule to try and limit cursing, because now you can say it. It's no longer forbidden. It no longer has any power behind it because now they're allowing you to do it. So it was the exact opposite. Of course, they did some raunchy stuff, but all this kind of stuff, like the It's Just Wrong and all that weird stuff, is all on terrestrial radio. This is not serious.
Segment he has ever done. The It's Just Wrong show had just 4 episodes. Father-daughter, brother-sister, mom-son, and mother-daughter. Though real-life family members would have to answer trivia questions for a chance to win a cash prize of up to $10,000.
Oh my God, yeah.
But if they answer the question wrong, the male counterpart would have to take off a piece of their mother's, sister's, or daughter's clothing. The winner was the one whose partner is the last to get completely naked. Sometimes this was fathers undressing their adult daughters completely nude, or brothers undressing their little sisters nude in front of everyone in the studio and to the millions watching at home. If you think it can't get worse, it does. Near the end of the show, usually when everyone was naked, Howard and the crew would start throwing around money, saying,
There, Valerie, as much as I'd love to hand you over the money, I mean...
This guy here, he was enjoying this way too much. This is the dad and this is his daughter. And then he offers money at the end. And this guy, I don't know, he was smiling and liking it. He was getting into it. Keep your eye on this guy. He's probably in jail for something.
You wouldn't let your father spank you for $3,000, would you?
For $3,000?
Yeah. Naked over his lap? That would be really bizarre, wouldn't it?
It's like, I don't know.
That would be a little too much.
Or in one episode, he paid sisters to let their brothers get a handful of their breasts. Now, these were all consenting adults who knew the rules of the game and went into it knowing the rules of the game. Some of those creepy dads seemed to like the game a little too much. However, it just goes to show how desperate some people were to earn money, willing to humiliate themselves on camera for the entire world to see. Sadly for his fans, but possibly good for the rest of humanity, Howard Stern finally started to tone down his content. Many people believe around 2009 or 2010 his glory days were behind him. He was done with the overly raunchy and edgy skits. The Whack Pack would not make regular appearances, nor was he trying to introduce new characters for the fandom. His beloved co-host Artie Lang was struggling harder than ever, using hard drugs, going to rehab, relapsing, and starting all over every
just
few
skip
months.
right past that.
His battle with depression
Look at
almost
his fucked
ended
up
everything
nose.
in 2010. Although Howard wanted to support his friend, he didn't feel like letting him back on the show would aid in his recovery. Fans believe once Artie left, the show wasn't worth watching anymore. And this
from the day Jackie joined to the day Artie quit was when the Howard Stern show was great. I hope someday there will be a high quality archive of every show that from that period. Wonder where you could find that. Howard needs someone who busts his balls in the chair next to him. So yeah, Artie's whole role, the reason why it was good is he would call Howard out on all of his bullshit. So when he was lying or just being phony on something, like Artie was not afraid to call him out. There's epic fights in the archives of Artie and Howard fighting. Calls him a pelican. Yeah, there's a lot of great footage of that. So Artie was never afraid to tell Howard, because everyone was afraid of Howard. That's what this whole theme is. Everyone was afraid of Howard, but Artie was not. That's what made the show great.
This was sort of confirmed in a 2013 staff meeting that was leaked online,
This
where
was
fans
bad,
came
yeah.
to the conclusion that Howard...
So then he tried to rebrand the whole show, and like he had this PowerPoint presentation that leaked where he's like, everyone needs to dress in a suit. We look like homeless people.
People like Billy Corgan come in, their album goes into the top 10. We've had books that have gone into the top 10. We're pretty amazing. But nobody knows it. We're now on satellite radio, and now that we're in satellite radio, we're in sort of our own little protected bubble. But what's happening is people are forgetting that this is the best fucking medium for any guest to be booked on. Whether they're in the field of books, whether they're in music. Look at what we do for guests. We have a news department that actually promotes them after they're in. We play their shows over multiple times.
Howard mentioned that
Evergreen
his 23
advertising.
million paid
Yeah, so
through the skeleton.
he basically wraps this whole thing up with saying, oh, he gets into therapy. It was therapy just an excuse to excuse all of his past and
in
redo his
closet,
whole image.
especially after he tried to deny his previous use of the N-word.
John, you use the N-word a lot. You said
I
really?
I used the N-word.
Yeah, he did.
Wait a second. Hold on.
I do.
before you
I
say
remember
that.
it.
Whoopi, hold on.
Wait.
No, we had a guy on from the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
Who very freely used the N-word.
Yeah.
And my belief was, hey, say it out in the open.
Yes.
And I didn't use the N-word. Let's be very clear.
During the pandemic, Donald Trump Jr. tweeted an old blackface video of Howard Stern demanding him to be canceled. Howard responded with, "There's nothing new here. We all knew I was the
Of all
craziest
people.
MFer on the radio." He continued, "I never did anything behind the scenes. I did it right in front of your face." Howard did not apologize, but he doesn't feel good about his behavior. I cringe when I look at myself 30 or 40 years ago, and that was 27 years ago. I go, I can't stand it. Am I a bad guy? I don't think so. Keep in mind that 27 years ago, Howard was 43 years old. After this controversy, Stern started championing the vaccine and demonizing anyone who didn't get it.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? F them, f their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
Joe Rogan, the world-famous podcaster who has dethroned Howard as the voice of the common man, had the opposite opinion. Joe was
voice of
skeptical
the
about the
common
vaccine,
man.
which led to him being accused of spreading misinformation. After Joe addressed the backlash on Instagram, Howard felt Joe's response wasn't good enough. Even the apology, he just should have said, "You know what? Listen, I'm a comedian, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. I have no medical background whatsoever to be telling people what to do with their health." Stern,
I'm woke, motherfucker, and I love it.
It's never
There's the part.
I support. I can't get
woke, which he says is a compliment.
If woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that I support people who want to be transgender, or I'm for the vaccine, dude, call me woke as you want. I'm not for stupidity, but I am woke, motherfucker, and I love it.
It's never too late to change, some people say. Stern represented the vitality of male impulse, fully indulging in raw, racy humor and raunchy entertainment. I don't think many people blame his opposers for bringing up his past, but it's also important to question all of the corporations who profited from his show for all of those years before randomly deciding their morals did
let's
not
just forget
align.
about that.
Some people think Howard's mental health and self-reflection in therapy narrative is just a cop-out, a way for him to gain sympathy and lazily right his wrongs for decades of disgusting behavior. Some people think he is merely just a sellout, who will say,
Yeah, after making millions shitting on everything and offending the world, he flips to being a star effer and towing the PC line to continue to make millions. And that is the issue I have with Howard. But here's the thing. People think this is a good thing that he made this whole change, and I think it's a bad thing. And this is what I'm going to end on. I think this whole era of people being not politically correct was better for the world. People are more divided now than ever before, and we've tried to eliminate all of this stuff. Like, oh, no more joking about racism, and no more joking about gay people. You can't say this word. You can't call people the R word, this word. Can't have the wacky people, all that stuff. Like, even think about the Chappelle show and how that started. It was like making fun of every single race, and you had people of all races in the audience all laughing at the same joke, and people were more together. Because when you joke about stuff like that, it brings people together, and there was less division. Now we're all divided. Now it's like, do you support Israel? Do you support Palestine? Oh, are you liberal or are you conservative? This whole political movement is just divided. And now if you were a liberal back then when you listened to this show, now you'd be seen as conservative because you believe in free speech. Everything is backwards now, and people are more divided than ever. This period of time was probably one of the last greatest periods of time, and hopefully, I have hope that the pendulum swings back and forth, and it goes all the way one way, and then eventually people get tired of it, and then it goes back to this. Like, we need to get to the center. Because right now we're all the way to one side and the extreme on both. Like, you got the extreme, like before, we're seeing these guys like Vaush. They're dreaming of being horses and having sex with kids. And that's what a liberal's doing now. And then the conservatives are talking about, we need freedom of speech and don't censor my freedoms. You know, like, now a liberal is conservative and a conservative is liberal almost. Or if you were liberal then, now you're more to the center. It's like people from this whole time period are kind of left in this no man's land where they're in the center and they don't know where they fit in. But I always felt like being able to say what you want and do what you want, as long as it wasn't backed by actual hatred. Like, you can tell the difference between someone who's actually hateful and somebody who's just doing something for a joke. But we've come to this place now where we have to be so sensitive to everybody's feelings. Everybody, we have to worry about, oh no, this new pronoun or that new pronoun, or oh no, you can't say this joke, it's very racist, we need to cancel this person. Like, unless somebody's like committing a crime, you know, like these people who are committing like sexual crimes, like Harvey Weinstein or something. Like, I don't like this world that we live in anymore. It's like we can't have any more fun. If you want to have fun, you have to build your own little private place to do it. And even then, even those people are cucking to the group think and the way the world is. And it's almost like you have to take a lesson from Howard Stern. If you bring the people together, which ties this all together, it's why you shouldn't be pushing other people down who have similar thoughts about freedom of speech and saying jokes and doing what you want, pushing down other creators who do the same thing. It should be, hey, let's band together as one thing. We don't have to be the same show, but banding together as one thing to attack this PC bullshit. When the money is there, then you can do whatever you want and say whatever you want. And that's what you just saw here. Howard was able to do all of that stuff because every market he went into, he was number one. And money talks, and money lets you do whatever you want, and power. But now we're so divided that none of us, we're all fighting each other. That's what they want. That's what they want us doing. They want us fighting each other so that none of us can band together and fight against all of this shit. And so now we live in a world where you can't do or say anything. Otherwise, your whole life's demonetized. That's fun, right? What a fun world we live in today. So while I don't like Howard Stern or his content anymore because he sold out to this whole thing, I do think what he did was good overall for humanity. And people were way much happier. They were way happier then. People are way more depressed now, more mental illness than ever. Yeah. People walking on eggshells. They're afraid to even bring up, like, before earlier in the show, people like, are you pro-Israel or pro-Palestine? Like, even that, you have to be like, ooh, I wonder if I say one or the other. It's like, I don't know. I miss this period of time, and I hope we can get back to this. And I think it's possible. It's just a matter of people pushing for it. And if we do that, instead of wasting time focusing on each other and dividing each other, maybe it could happen. Who knows? Maybe this next election coming up could be. It's going to be like Trump versus Biden again. It's so weird to even think about that. We're going to most likely, actually I can't say that, but I do have a feeling that maybe Trump could win again. But then another 4 years of Trump again? I don't know. We're heading in a weird place. Again, everyone's going to be androgynous. There's going to be no men or women. And you're not going to be able to say anything. It's 1984 playing out in real time. Think, speak. We're fucked. Unless we turn this whole thing around. But no, we're too busy worrying about our TikToks and our Instagrams and fighting some guy on Discord and whatever the fuck else. Wasting my fucking time. Hopefully I can bring some normalcy back. And if not, you're all doomed. You're gonna die of internet cancer, and I'm sorry. Hopefully I can help you. I probably can't. But with that, it's been fun, guys. I'm going to bed. Thank you for joining. And I hope you have a good night. And cheers to whatever you're doing this week. Physical Fitness Award. National. It's my coaster. Thank you guys for tuning in. That was my first show doing it drunk. I did kind of okay. I fucked up a couple of times. I didn't even look at the chat pretty much at all. So if you said something offensive, thank you.
Good night.